New Zealand. Lovely to see you all, and we've got live streaming going on, have we? Shani, thank you very much. I've got it. Yeah, I'll press got it. That's away. Okay. Councillor Kingi, just wondering if you could afford us a karakia, get us underway and for our discussions this afternoon. Thank you, Tong.
Yeah, kia ora, Mr. Mayor, kia ora, everybody. Kia hora te marino, kia whakapapa paunamu te moana. Hei huarahi mā tātou I te rangi nei, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou ia tātou katoa. Thank you, Your Worship.
Kia ora, Tong. Thank you very much. Appreciate that this afternoon. So we'll go straight to the order of business. There's no change. It was suggested about a bit of a jiggity poke and a change around, but no, it's as the agenda item as they are there. Could I have any apologies? Item number 1, any apologies, please, this afternoon? Haven't heard from Kirsty. Has anyone heard from Kirsty? We'll put it in for lateness. I think, Gareth, you haven't heard from Kirsty?
Sorry, struggling with my screens there. I think we did actually, Your Worship. She mentioned that she was unable to make this one due to
good as gold. Okay, could I have a mover that apologies of Kirsty be accepted? Thank you, Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Item number 3.1, confirmation of the council meeting minutes on the 22nd of February 2022. Any points of clarification on those minutes, please? Right, all seem to be in order. Thank you. Could I have a mover?
Your Worship, just if I could just interject, just sure. Item number 2, conflict of interest. I just wanted to clear on item 4.7, if I could, before we proceed.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. Sorry about that. I skipped that. Yeah. Sorry, Don. Yeah. So, Councillor Kingi, Shani, you've got that noted. Which items, Tom?
4.7.
4.7. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, back to the minutes. Any points of clarification on those council minutes? No. Could I have a mover, please, for those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Guy. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. 4.1, Kinloch wastewater treatment plant upgrade. Michael, are you there, Michael? Good afternoon, Mike. How are you, mate?
Good, thank you, David.
Good.
Yeah, I'll just rip into it, shall I?
Yeah, just straight. Floor is yours there.
Cool. Good morning, afternoon, David and councillors. So yeah, this is paper is to request two aspects to it. It's to increase the value of Spartan's contract. They were the main contractor that built the main works at the Kinloch wastewater plant, and the second part is to increase the overall project budget. So that increases Spartan's contract value to 11,600,000, and the overall project budget increase, which encompasses more than just Spartan's contract. There's project management costs, other equipment purchases. Overall, that increases the project from 15.3 to 17.3 million. So that's a 13% overspend forecast. We can bring this forecast to you now because we're 95% way through the project. So we've got, very confident that this number is the final number. So I guess to put that in perspective, the Spartan contract is the major part of the spend on this project. There's a little breakdown in the second page of the paper, which sort of shows the other items of $5 odd million that are not part of the contract. So that's things like we've brought to you before: membrane supply, inlet works equipment, design fees, project management costs, and all that sort of stuff. And so I'll take the paper as read, but I would like to touch on why the overrun, and I think it's important, and also what I think we could do, what we could have done to have maybe avoided this. So firstly, why the overrun? The major issue has been variations with Spartan's contract, and that's due to quite significant changes from the tender phase documentation to the construction phase documentation. and that's largely due to it's related to late delivery of these documents by our designers. Unfortunately, I think it's been a tough project, and they haven't been able to get it delivered on time. We did stress throughout the project the importance of timely delivery, and we allowed some contingencies in the tender, knowing that there would be some changes, but the degree of changes has been far more significant than we had anticipated. And the other major costs that sit outside the contract that have increased in cost is project management costs, some of the equipment costs that we've purchased that are outside of the main contract, and then some other issues. But largely it's to do with your changes. So this is not necessarily extra cost to council, because these are costs that if we'd known about them at tender time, we would have incurred anyway. It's our knowledge of the costs coming is what's changed. So thinking about what we could have done to maybe minimize this risk is, well, we could have understood this risk a little bit better and put in a larger contingency up front, but we thought the contingency we had was right, so was about right, because a lot of the costs were kind of in at that time. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And the other thing we could have done is potentially delayed the project to get all this documentation 100%, but that's under the pressure of abatement notices, any delay was a full 12-month delay, because we have to fit the construction within the peak seasons of Kinloch. We just can't have the treatment plant offline, and so and that may have increased the cost anyway in the end. So I guess it's been a long project. To end on a positive note, though, the plant is now commissioned fully. It's performing very well. It's a little bit of fine tuning we have to do, but it will make quite a big dent in the the nitrogen that hits our lake, and that's gives us the headroom for growth around the community. So yeah, I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you, Michael, and thank you for explaining those differences there, which is always tough to see, tough to look at. Yeah. So, any questions, councillors? Councillor Westerman.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was quite concerning to read that. So, Michael, I appreciate that effort that you've just put in to explain the background and then trying to make sure that we don't go through that track again. And the last thing that we all would have wanted was to delay and have further costs added to it. So thanks for that explanation. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool. Councillor Kathy Guy.
Thank you. Michael, I just note that in the original document in 2020 that the engineers, or the design engineers, had quoted 12.2 mil, and we accepted the Spartan contract with that contingency. Can you give me an idea why that was passed over in favour of Spartan, when the design engineers had actually really pretty much worked out the actual cost? And did this cost difference raise any red flags for you at that time between what the design engineers and Spartan had come up with?
Cost estimates, design engineers' estimates are always, it's very tough for them to get on the money. So, I've seen a lot of engineers' estimates that are quite different from tender prices over the years. And so you have an estimate. Usually we have more than one tender to compare to. So yes, in this case, we did have only the one, which maybe that was the reason we could have added a little bit more into the original budget. However, both the design engineers and Spartan priced off the same documents at that time. So they were pricing apples for apples.
And at one point we were looking at getting an independent QS. Did that happen?
Yes, we did have an independent QS. Their estimate was wildly higher, I think another 5 million or something like that. So there's quite a big range in engineers' estimates. It's a tough art yeah, we thought we had the right contingencies, because at the time, all of our major equipment purchases had been made. So in-networks works had been purchased, membranes had been purchased, design services had already been purchased. The main contract was really the outstanding item. And so it has been a bit of overspend overall.
Councillor Williamson. Sorry, John, you're on mute.
Sorry, thanks, Your Worship. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the challenges around the project like this. Notwithstanding COVID delays and managing supply lines, and also I imagine between the post-tender design change and the construction phase, the pressure around getting on with it, around the abatement notices, etc. The other question was you mentioned in the report the lower cost this financial year and other areas of wastewater program offset increase in cost to some degree. Offset at 2 million, I would imagine not, or kept it to 2 million. So is that to do with the works programs or prioritising?
I guess that's just signalling that this project is going to need an extra $2 million to complete and square away the balance. But just sort of commenting that overall, I give an example like our renewals program for wastewater, that's going to be significantly underspent this year, probably over $1.5 million underspent. And part of the reason for that is we did a big CCTV program in Turangi, similar to what we've done in Mangakino, and we just didn't find anything. So, the flow-on work from that, it means a smaller outlay this year, and that won't carry over to next year. So that's money unspent this year. So the program overall will balance out to some degree. But yes, this project certainly needs the extra.
Thanks, Mike. I suspect that would be part of the reason. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Mack.
Thanks. Look, from a layperson who would be listening to this, I think the issue we have, as we always have with councils, would be, there we go again. Now, I think you've done everything you can. I get that, but even from what I'm hearing from you is that we could have done things better. And at $2 million, I guess we're really lucky that it didn't turn out to be $10 million, let's just say. Whereas, you go around the country and you hear about all these projects, and I know they're difficult projects, but when you're talking to the public and the public go, well, there's another $2 million that we didn't allow for. Do we learn from this? Like, my concern is that every time, even when I started at council, we had overspends then as well because contingency wasn't enough. Do you think that, we do learn from this, or is it just because of the type of projects we're dealing with?
Yeah, I'd like to think we learn from it. There's always a bit of trade-off between how big do you make your contingencies, and therefore you take money away from potentially other programs because you overestimate things. So there's some projects will come in, some are over. Hopefully across the board it averages out. But yeah, there's certainly been increasing costs for the last few years to deliver these sorts of projects, and 2 million is a big number. But to put that in perspective of compared to the budget, it's a 13% over for the project. So yeah, it's significant, but it is a big project, and it's complex has been increased, I guess, because it's a greenfield site, a brownfield site. We're working around existing plant and trying to keep that running. So it's it hasn't been an easy job through the COVID period. It's been challenging, but we've got the early results are good. Hopefully we can learn from it and not repeat.
I'll just ask as well, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but you don't seem very happy about where we are with it. Is it just, are you upset that we've come to 2 million above as well because of the process?
Yeah, of course. We thought, because of the stage we're at in the project, we thought we had a lot of these costs pinned down, so the contingencies we allowed sort of reflected that all our major purchases had been done. This contract had gone through a tender process. The degree of changes and the lateness of the deliverables from designers was a factor, and we would have known about these costs earlier. So I guess the thing is, if we'd known about them earlier, we would have still incurred them to a large degree, but we didn't know about them, and we've known about them later, and that's unfortunate. Yep.
Yes, through the chair, sorry, just to add to that, John, just to answer that question. I think the key thing for this project is, okay, Michael's mentioned there's a brownfields project. So this is working around an existing treatment plant and all the intricacies intricacies around that, around making sure that it actually is compliant as we go through, because we're working under abatement notice and formal warnings as well. The other key thing for this one in particular is just around the fact that those timeframes are really, really set, and they were set really tight. And we tried extensions through WRC and all sorts of other stuff. So we're working as it's kind of like a design as you go along. So it's working on the fly. So it's a little bit more complex than the average project. For the actual technology is state of the art as well. But the key thing, your question there is about, are we learning from these? Absolutely, we're learning. Every time we go through this, we go through a lessons learned process. Every time we go through this, we'll go through and have a good look at our project methodology at the front end. And what we will do also is we'll look at our estimates coming through now, knowing that they've been so far out with our advisors in the space, and really question those a little bit more. So rest assured, I think what you want to know is, are we improving in this process? And absolutely we are, but we still will get caught out from time to time, John.
Yeah, but I suppose if I was a potential contractor looking at this saying, oh, we'll undercook the price, doesn't matter, they'll pay the bloody extra later on, sort of thing. So, I go back to John Mack. If you're a layman looking at this, someone's priced the job. We know there's a few contingencies, but they're $2 million out. It's pretty hard to take. And I can understand, Michael, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve there. I can see I can feel your pain there, having to present this item today. So, Councillor Park.
Sorry. Thank you, Your Worship. Kevin Strongman sort of just answered my question, really, and that was around the learnings, and particularly going into this annual plan where we have really got quite a significant sort of rate increase that we're sort of consulting on. Do we feel like there's enough contingency and variation of what construction prices are versus a year ago in the annual plan for the different projects? Because this one's like the other councils sits really uncomfortably with me. It's a lot of money, and like John Mack said, to a lay person, they're big dollars. So I'm just hoping that we won't have to revisit a CapEx project like this a couple of times in a triennium for increases.
So through the chair, it's a good question, and it's one that Andrew and myself and the rest of the exec team have been working really hard on. And the key thing for us, and I think we portrayed it well through the annual plan process and through the bubble diagram that Andrew talked about, and it's really just understanding that we are in a pretty volatile market at the moment, and we're going to have swings and roundabouts, but we think we're going to land about right on those. And as we get closer and further through those project costs, through the design phase and through the tender phase, we'll know more about each of those projects. So it's a volatile market. We all know that. It is only going up at the moment. And the way that we've addressed it, and I think the way we'll continue to address it, is allowing to have some flexibility on its individual projects as they come through. So yes.
Yeah, I just said. Oh, sorry, John. You go, and then I'll chip in.
You made mention of underspend in some areas. Can the finances from those areas cover this increase in cost?
Not directly. There are different pools of money, but ultimately it's council money, and so there is an offset. But we can't transfer renewal money to this CapEx project, so they maintain separate entries in the books. But by the time you roll that up to council spend, there's an offset.
So effectively, then the underspend may lead to a lower increase in rating for next year.
This is capital, remember.
Capital, yes.
So it is capital. So the rating number is primarily influenced by operating expenditure, not capital expenditure. There is some impact in the long term, but it's only really on the cost of the funding for the capital.
But the capital, is that not borrowed?
It is. Yep.
So therefore, there's an impact on what we're paying for that money. So there would be. Yeah,
that's right. The cost of the financing and the quantum of the repayments will be slightly higher if we spend more on capital, slightly less if we spend less on capital.
So it may well have an effect.
May do. Yep.
Thank you.
Cool. Councillor Christine.
Look, I think Hannah's probably already asked the question. It wasn't really a question. I just wanted to say that this is a warning shot across our bow, I think. And I think we will be facing it again in the next triennium, hopefully not this one. But as Kevin said, everything is so volatile. The economy is so volatile. How the hell can you get the costings right on any project that takes some time to deliver? I think this is a huge issue that we're facing as we go forward. And I know the staff are switched on to it. I just cannot believe they're going to be able to manage it. And I don't mean to be negative, but I think this is the beginning of a line. I'm sorry to say. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll just,
I'm
sorry.
Yep, Michael.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to Kevin's comments earlier about cost increases and to add to what Christina's just said as well. There are, like, another project I'm looking at the moment is the View Road irrigation project. That is going to have some significant cost increases as well, where our suppliers have now told us for any pivots to get into the country is a 10-month lead time now. Shipping rates are through the roof. Yes, there will be some cost increases on some of our projects. So hopefully we can smooth out the program and manage that. But yes, there's going to be some challenges.
Cool. Thank you.
Chair, if I may.
Yeah, Tony. Good afternoon, Tony.
Good afternoon. Yeah, just to add also, just to put a bit of a positive spin on things, with the construction works there, we've been fortunate to have some excellent project managers on site there who have actually, kept a tight rein on things. We've got industry experts, international experts in this space around the wastewater management. So we have been really fortunate to have good people close on hand who have been keeping, working closely with our operations team. And just to reiterate the point, constructing a wastewater treatment plant, we don't do it every year. And to actually come away with an excellent, well-working wastewater treatment plant at the same time as keeping another one BAU with some of the challenges we have, whether it be weather bombs or influx of residents. So yeah, just really wanted to reinforce that.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I guess I go back to the layman, just looking at this agenda item, there appears to be no risk for the contractor, but I could have that wrong. He's under price, so we get an invoice with a balance and we just pay it, so, but you've explained the reasons why, Michael, and I accept that, but that's just, if you're just a man in the street looking at that, you're thinking, doesn't really matter what their price is because they'll just invoice us for the balance. So I hope it's not a trend going forward, but of course,
no, I'd add to that. I think the contractor has probably worn a little bit through this project as well.
Has he? Okay.
Well, since the tender period, that's where their rates for their products are, more or less locked in. So concrete prices, steel prices, all those kind of things have definitely moved.
Okay.
Just add to that, David. The key thing is we really take a lot of time and effort at looking at risks and where that risk lives best. Yeah. And this one's certainly a split risk, and the contractor has worn a lot with those increased prices.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. Fair enough. I just didn't see that reflected too much in the document. That was all. Okay. I think enough discussion. Councillor Leonard.
Just in light of this conversation that we've just had, and in light of the major projects that we've got moving forward, such as Waiora House, the plans for Turangi, etc., I just wonder whether we need to come together and form a bit of a policy from a governance level around conversations that I had 2 days ago, was that buildings now 4,500 a square metre for a basic build, up from 3,000. That's a huge increase, and we don't have an unlimited pot of funds and people are feeling it tight out there in the community. I just wonder whether we need to, form a limit as a council of where we will actually let these things get to and where we won't. Probably not for discussion in this meeting, but I would suggest it's something we urgently need to work on, what we will and what we won't accept in our plan moving forward.
I fully support you, Carly, on those comments.
Certainly happier. Would be certainly worth a conversation, that's for sure. Gareth, are you happy with that?
Happy to have the conversation, Your Worship. I think, top of my head, I'd say part of the issue is that the market will determine what the price is, and so if you want to build a wastewater treatment plant, you technically have to pay what the market determines the price to be. But more than happy to have that conversation offline.
Yeah, cool.
That's important infrastructure.
Your worship, just one
Yes.
comment. Obviously, times, appreciate Kylie's comment. Times are tough, for all of us out in the community. But what we're doing with these major infrastructure projects is future-proofing our communities for future generations as well. So we have to keep that in mind. So sometimes you have to make some hard decisions that may not be palatable, but we need to keep that in mind as well.
Cool.
Can I, just through you, David, I agree with you, John. It's just what my concern is that we understand before we start some of these projects that they've gone up in price. This one is that we got to a point where actually you can't just stop. You actually have to continue. And yes, we're lucky we got away with 2 million. If it had been 20 million, let's just say, like it happens in other councils, we're that's the issue in this situation. I get the prices have gone up, but we have to come to a point where you just can't keep paying out all this money.
Therein lies the Kylie's suggestion. Kylie Leonard, I think, as a policy, we should have a cap or some sort of discussion about this, so we know that we're not going to get a shock when these items come in front of us, I think. So, yeah. Good discussion, Michael. Thank you so much. The big thing is, as you said at the end, it's working, it's going well. Gaffy, you won't have any problems out there, which is good. You won't have any calls. And of course, we all know and love Kinloch as far as, their expansion and all the aspirations out there. So, yep, cost us another couple of mil, but hey, the job's done. So thank you very much, everyone. Well, there is a resolution there. You've got it in front of you. I think it's pretty clear and concise. Could I have a mover, please? 1 and 2. Moved by Councillor Guy and seconded by Councillor Williamson. Thank you again, Michael. Appreciate that, the hard delivery today. So thank you for all the work you're doing, mate. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. Item 4.2 is Veronica, endorsement of the community-led, age-friendly Taupō District Plan. And I believe we've got Val there, Val Hugerberg. Nice to see your name there, Val. Anyway, is Veronica there?
Kia ora koutou. I might just jump in very quickly.
Oh, sorry,
that's
Libby.
all right. Sorry,
Yeah.
Your Worship, and good afternoon, Your Worship, and councillors, and also those of members of the community that are joining. I'm really thrilled to be just presenting the age-friendly plan for you all for your endorsement today. Those of you, well, it's actually been something that's been going on for quite a wee while. It sort of predates my time at council. It's been a bit of a journey, and it's been an exciting one. I know the age-friendly steering group has been really excited to be a part of it. So I just wanted to take the opportunity, if I may, just to thank the age-friendly steering group on behalf of us from our council involvement for their hard mahi in this. And just a special thanks to Veronica from our team, who has been leading that from a council perspective. So the age-friendly plan isn't a council-owned, or it's not a plan that is ours, it belongs to the community, but it will shape how decisions are made across the community, including how it feeds into the decisions that you will make as councillors, and how us as an organisation will be able to support Taupō becoming an age-friendly district. So I will, if I may, through you, Your Worship, I understand Councillor Boddy just wanted to say a few words. He's been involved in the steering group, so I might just pass over to Councillor Boddy.
Thanks, Libby. What I wanted to do was introduce Veronica King to you all. Many will know Veronica as an employee of the council, a staff member, but she has been the driving force of this project basically since day one. We can probably blame COVID for the length of time it's actually taken, but Veronica has hung in there, and I believe that she has achieved a very, very fine job. What I would also like to mention is Dame Peggy Koopman-Boyden, who actually facilitated one of our meetings. Now, she is domiciled in Hamilton and has on more than one occasion come to Taupō to assist, given her time freely, and I wanted to be publicly recognised for that. But now I'll hang over to Veronica.
Thank you, Councillor Body. Kia ora and good afternoon, Veronica. Good to see your beautiful face there.
Thank you, Your Worship, and kia ora to the councillors here today, this afternoon. And thank you, Councillor Body, for your kōrero. I just want to also mention and give thanks to the steering group, the age-friendly steering group, particularly Val Hukebrugger, and who is also not only the chair of the Age Concerned Taupo, but also has been very much involved with MSD in the Office for Seniors. So she's been very supportive along with the other team. So I'm just happy to take that it's been read and to answer any questions that you might have, or explain some things that you may want explained further.
Thanks, Veronica. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Val, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
Are we allowed to see you?
I don't. No, I don't think you really want to.
No problem, Val. I'm glad you heard from Veronica and John there. So yeah, hey, great, and it looks fantastic. And long time coming, but hard work, hard mahi going into this. So any questions of Veronica or John or Libby or Val?
Well, David, I'm going to, when it's the time to endorse the document, which I'll leave that at the moment, but I think it's very, very important that statements have been made in this document where it's really, I believe, council's job to uphold them. And a very simple one is seating around town. I mean, I've had this talk before about 15 seats of Rupai Street Corner, one with sides on them, so to speak. So they're small issues, but they do creep up. And if you read the document, there's 8 areas that we've looked at quite heavily, and it's shown very clearly that we are a district with an ageing population, and that must be factored in.
Great, thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. It says you're still on mute, Kevin, but we can hear you.
I've been using my phone.
Are we going out into your garage?
No, I've been using my phone so I can look at the agenda on the iPad. Hey, look, a couple of quick comments. I read the item, read the plan, really impressed, and want to just congratulate the team involved in that. Not a concern, but really a comment. It would be really good if we could have regular updates, that we take a plan into some positive action, and we have some regular times throughout the year where we have this plan and the people involved back in front of us, so that we can put a bit of action into the plan that we've got, so it doesn't just become another piece of paper on a shelf. That'd be my only comment there. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Very good comments here. Libby, are you okay to perhaps we hear from you guys every 4 or 5 months or something, 3 months or something? Councillor Kingy.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I just wanted to support the comments just made. Appreciate the work that's gone into this for a short space there. I had a little bit of involvement in sitting in on a couple of the workshops, and yeah, what a massive undertaking. So all credit to the team, Veronica, Councillor Body, all those who have brought this to fruition. I saw some of that engagement too at a local level, at our RSA in Turangi and other areas, and I think there was a real willingness from our communities to participate. So really just wanted to acknowledge that. Also just want to support that call of acknowledgement to Dame Peggy. I had the fortune of sitting through one of her facilitated workshop, and what a lovely, passionate lady, and talk about just set the scene. So massive acknowledgements to that. But yeah, congratulations team on getting us there, and support Councillor Taylor's comments about keeping this front and centre of us going forward. Kia ora.
Oh, thanks very much, Tongan. I think it'd probably be good for us to acknowledge Dame Peggy, Councillor Body, by way of letter, and a copy of the document to her. I think she'd find that interesting, which good idea. Councillors happy to support a letter going to Dame Peggy? Thank you very much. All right.
Your Worship, may I make a comment? It's
Yes,
Val
Val.
here. Dame Peggy has just retired as the leader of the Hamilton age-friendly group. So yes.
Okay. Oh, we can put that in there for appreciation of her service as well. Thank you, Val. Thanks for letting us know that latest. Very good.
Just following on from Councillor Taylor's comments, if the actual recommendation actually states what he stated, it states here and notes that it will be receive annual progress reports from mid-2022.
Okay, cool. That's in the resolution there. Very good. Okay, no other commentary? Councillor Boddy, you happy to move that recommendation?
I certainly am. I move.
Yeah, thank you very much, John. Moved by Councillor Boddy, seconded by Councillor Taylor. Thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? The item is carried. Thank you, Val, and thank you, everyone, Veronica, Libby, and everyone else that's worked on that document. Great to have that approved today. So very good. Okay, we move on and we have Taupō East Rural Community Grant Distribution 4.3, and we've got Rose. Have we got Rose? Oh yeah, we have Rose. Hello, Rose. How are you?
Kia ora, I might even jump in again. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right. Sorry, Libby.
Just to support the team. Sorry, you've got me again. So yes, this item is around the Taupō East Rural Community Grant. So we'll take the item as read, and most of you will be familiar with why this has come up. Last year, mid last year, I think it was, the new grants and partnerships policy, and it came. There was a thing there around how there wasn't a specific fund for Taupō people to apply to. We've got a really good distribution of those allocation committees across different sectors of the community in different parts of our communities, but we don't really have one for Taupō. So this one is $20,000 per year as determined last year, the decision that you made around the allocation of the grant funding for the next 3 years. But what we need to do now is we just need to come up with who will actually distribute those funds. I'll let Rose take any questions that you might have, but we've come up with a couple of recommendations around a very pragmatic way to approach this. This is primarily because the pot of money isn't huge, and it is just there's just a requirement for that team of people to come together once a year. So we figured, instead of pulling together a group from across the community, we could utilise the representatives that we already have. So happy to take the item as read, and between Rose and myself, we can answer any questions.
Cool, thanks, Libby. Thank you very much. And Rose, you got nothing to add to that? All pretty straightforward. You've done this several times of various representation groups. So any questions, councillors?
So just through you, David, can I just confirm the makeup of what you're saying there is like, I've just lost it, but you've got 2 there from the rural ward you were saying, and maybe 2 from Kinloch. I think the only concern I have is that it's also for Taupo, as in Taupo as a whole, for people who can't go for the grants, like we were talking about Christmas in the Park, say. So are we saying we wouldn't have anybody on there who would be looking at that? And the only reason I'm saying that is because, like anything, if you had somebody from the rural wanting some money and somebody from Taupo wanting it, there's nobody on there representing Taupo.
Yeah, through the chair, that is something that we've sort of thought about. We could have a very simple solution to that, whether it is, and this could be up for debate, whether it is pulling in a representative from one of the other existing groups that exist in the community, or simply nominating a councillor who perhaps resides within the Taupō ward, who could be the representative on that group. And you might perhaps bring the representatives from the existing rep groups down to one. But we're very open to any solution, really. It's just we were aiming to hopefully make it quite pragmatic, so we don't have to go out to the community and actually ask for people to come together and form a new committee. It's using that existing representation that already knows those parts of the community.
Cool. So applications can come from just the East people, but also Taupō people as well. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I haven't read the thing properly. Okay. All right, any suggestions? Obviously, the Councillor Leonard, you're happy with 2 representatives from your committee. And I suppose if there's 2 other volunteers, they could be from anywhere, I suppose.
That's what, David, if I could jump in there.
Yeah.
I spoke to Libby about this in relation to the representation. I know it's a small amount of money, but it's the perception which I believe is really important. And I think it would be important to have people from the Taupo town, whether it be in the central city or Acacia Bay as well, to have some representation so that we give open and transparent representation across the ward.
Cool, thanks. You did right. It's you know, it might seem a small amount of money, but a couple of grand to each organisation comes in real handy. So you're right. So 2 people from the Taupō ward is a suggestion there from Councillor Taylor, and perhaps 1 from Acacia Bay. Not looking at anyone in particular, but so we've got that.
I am concerned that it's got that mention of Kinloch, as I perceived that it would be for Kinloch funding. I'm wondering why we're doing this rather than having the normal pool where people can apply. It seems to be, you could then argue, why haven't we got one at Acacia Bay or Nukuhau or Rainbow Point for that particular areas? It starts to get very, very messy and selective.
So can I just add in there, John, just to explain that? So we have 1 for Mangakino and we have 1 for Turangi. Within Taupō, we have the 3 groups that go out, the arts and the sports, etc. And then there was a gap where other organisations, such as the Christmas parade, couldn't apply to something, and the East Rural had been left out of that. So the idea was to come up with this joint fund. Libby's concept behind just having these 4 selected was to not have to add another layer of complexity over the top. The idea was to keep it simple, but more than happy to be as flexible as anybody would like. It was just to try and get this going, I think, was the main motivation behind it.
Yeah, it was quite a bit of...
Through the chair again, with you, David, I agree with what Kevin said. It's very simple. It's just who's going to represent. It's right in what it's doing. It's going to represent people in Taupo who can't already, you know, and that doesn't matter if it's Acacia Bay or whatever. It's just anybody who can't go in for what we've already got. The East Rural didn't have anybody either, so that's all cool. I agree with Kevin that if you've got 2 from the East Rural and just somebody from town, it's fine, because it's not about, they're going to divvy it up properly, but it's just the perception that if you don't put somebody in from town, then, you know, you're not actually representing them.
So if I could jump in here, agree, look, and thank you to Rose and Libby for presenting the item. It's actually really well done. It's good. It's exactly what we asked for, so well done. It's just around the representation. That it's a really simple issue. If we can tick that box, then I'm happy.
Cool. Okay, so do we have any volunteers from the Taupō ward? I've obviously on the ex officio, so I'm happy to do that. 2 representatives from the rural.
Sorry, David.
Councillor Taylor?
With respect, no, it should be community people. We don't have councillors on any of the others, and we keep it simple. It should be people from the community to keep it same.
Okay, so we need to go and advertise. I thought it would be councillors.
Well, if I can suggest, we've got 2 groups, neither of whom I've approached, but you've got the Acacia Bay Ratepayers Association as an already existing group, and you've got the Taupo Residents Group or whatever other groups there are within the Taupo town, existing groups we could potentially ask.
Yeah. Libby, you've got a frown. Is this complicating it by going out to the public, and then we've got to select who and all that sort of carry on?
So, Your Worship, I might be totally off the mark, and Libby, kick me virtually if you want, but I don't know if we need to overcomplicate it, to be honest. I mean, if it's about having a group, and I'm hearing that you want representation from Taupō East, you want representation from Kinloch, and you want some from Taupō Town, which makes perfect sense. Why do you not just and Libby, please tell me if I'm wrong, but appoint someone from Taupō East, and that could be a councillor or a community member from the Taupō East committee. Likewise, appoint one person from Kinloch, which will cover that part, and then say 2 from Taupō, and that could be 2 councillors and yourself as ex officio. And I can't see a problem with that, because their role is simply to divvy up funding that will come in through a funding application. No different to say the TT board does, and you have councillors sitting on there, or Mangakino. So I think we just need to keep it simple. And I get Libby's point. We don't want to go out and spend a whole lot of time and effort and money, searching for community representatives to divvy up such a small amount of money.
And through the chair, considering we've only got months left of this triennium, and it'll be up to the new council to decide what they want to do, we should just use what we've got, I think.
And Your Worship, just remember there is that central group. It's not an official group, but there are regular people that attend that. So if you're going to have community members from the other 2 places, I think it's quite easy to approach someone from that group too, if we don't have to have councillors. Yeah.
And keeping in mind that councillors represent
That's right.
the whole of the district, not just those 2 areas.
Exactly, and that's why I'd question whether you actually need community members, or your role as councillors actually does that job anyway. And so back to your point, Your Worship, it's just about identifying a couple of councillors who could undertake that function. But unless I'm missing something.
No, as you say, Turangi does it that way.
And just to add, of course, this is a committee of council too, so that does also put further weight on it being councillors as opposed to community reps.
Okay. All right.
So, Your Worship, could I be so bold, but to suggest maybe if you said the chair of Taupō East, the chair of Kinloch, and those 2 happen to be councillors at the moment, and then maybe 2 councillors from the Taupō ward, and yourself as ex officio, would be quite a nice little committee to do that job.
What about the chair of Parks and Reserves?
Perfect.
Taupō, that is in essence the Taupō ward chair.
Yep. And then one other. How's that, Kevin? Sorry about that. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm happy to bow to consensus. That's fine.
Yeah, I think we'll see how it goes, and if we don't feel we're achieving what we want to do in a few months' time, well, the new triennium might want to change things around a bit. Okay, one more volunteer, please.
Mayor David, I'm happy to stand if you want someone who covers Acacia Bay and Taupō.
Yep, cool. Thank you, Yvonne. Done. Are you happy with that, Christine? Cool. Okay. Lovely. So we've got 2. What did we say, Gareth? We got the chair of
Taupō East Rural.
Yeah.
Chair of Kinloch. Councillor Westerman. Councillor Williamson is the chair of Road and Reserves, and yourself as ex officio.
Cool. Good as gold. Shaney, are you okay? You got that?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you.
Thank you very much, Shaney. Okay, good. So I think enough discussion there, Rose and Libby. John, sorry, did you want to? Oh, you moving it? Moved by Turangi. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Seconded by Councillor Park. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Gary?
No.
Not against?
No.
John?
No. Yep.
Okay. And would you like that recorded, John?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. All right. Receipt. Libby again. Receipt of the draft statements of intent, council-controlled organisations. Miss Libby O'Brien. Good afternoon, Libby again.
Kia ora. This one actually has my name on it. It's the first name. So it's great to be talking to you again about something completely different. So the purpose of this item is for you to receive the draft statements of intent from our council-controlled organisations and essentially instruct us to undertake a review of these documents. I sort of need to apologise for the fact that it was a lot of reading for you all. I'm sure something exciting over the weekend, but those statements of intent give that direction for our CCOs. Happy to obviously take the item as read, and again, as I love being pragmatic, and also happy to take advice on how it's been done in the past, but perhaps suggest that if there are any, obviously invite a discussion, but if there are any specific changes that you would like to make, I'm happy to receive those via email if they're just nice, simple changes we can recommend to those CCOs.
Cool. Thank you so much, Libby. Any questions of Libby? No, all good, pretty straightforward. Thank you very much, Libby, for presenting that. A resolution there that we accept the statements of intent. Do I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Park, seconded by Kathy. Councillor Guy. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. Item number 4.5, classification of reserves. I see Alison Rawley, but Nick, I see you popped up. Nice to see you, Nick. Alison's not with us.
No, just me today, Your Worship and councillors.
Thank you, Nick. Nice to see you. Good afternoon.
I'll speak really briefly to introduce the paper, but essentially it's very much a procedural paper. Through a recent review process, we identified these 2 land parcels that hadn't gone through their final step of classification. Just to be really clear, this land has been vested in council as a recreation reserve. It's been historically managed as a recreation reserve, and the relevant reserve management plan also identifies it as a recreation reserve. What this report's asking you to do is a final step under the very complicated Reserves Act 1977 to simply approve the classification of it as a recreation reserve. To be frank, this is a minor historical oversight. Probably should have been picked up when we did the reserve management plan back in 2008, but it's only recently come to light. So we're acting as fast as possible to try and address this oversight. Hence the papers come up to you. What I can say in the spirit of continuous improvement is, as part of any future reserve management planning going forward, one of the key steps in our process will be checking that all the land covered by that reserve management plan has gone through the appropriate classification process. I'm happy to take any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Nick. Just obviously a technicality. Councillor Taylor.
Thanks, Your Worship. Nick, I just wonder if you could speak to the issue of consultation, so that the land this covers all along the lakefront. We've gone out for consultation on a proposal smack in the middle of this, and just wonder if you could comment on what, if any, impact it is likely to have, whether it's neutral. Thanks.
This is neutral. As the papers emphasise, this is very much a procedural step. It's got no reflection on the way that the land has been utilised or managed by council, or is seen and viewed by the community. So it won't impact on that decision making. What will be good is that we've got the chance to tidy this up before the council moves into any decision making on that hole-in-one proposal or the wider changes to that reserve management plan. So timing wise, this is good.
Great, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Could I just ask Nick, these are the only reserves left that need ratification of their status?
Now I couldn't say hand on heart that is the case. We've obviously got hundreds of pieces of reserve right across the district. The assumption has been in past practice that those are appropriately classified. To be honest, we haven't gone through a process of looking at every single piece to check its classification. What we will do is, as we go through each reserve management plan area, we'll look at that bundle of reserves and we'll check those. So progressively over time, if there are issues, they will come to light.
So there's no specific reason as to why these are being done now?
But the only reason these are being done now is because through the review of that reserve management plan, we picked up the fact that these parcels of land weren't properly classified.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the getting us all tidied up. You know, I do recall though, when we were doing the Freedom Camping Act a few years ago, there was a parcel of land on Fury Road that either wasn't classified or was something around that we couldn't involve the Freedom Camping bylaw for parking there. But from memory, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do appreciate, I think everything's timing, getting things done in one foul swoop to tidy the whole thing up, given what's happening currently. So I do appreciate it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. Councillor Westerman.
Can it be publicly challenged at all, Nick? Is it one of those things that it's just will go through, or can someone say, well, it should be a different designation?
No, there's no public process associated with this other than you passing a resolution.
Cool. Thank you. Any other questions of Nick? No. Well, there's a resolution there. Do I have a? Where is it? Have a mover for that recommendation? Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah,
Pursuant to, gazetted and all that sort of thing. Who said that? Sorry, move Councillor Taylor. Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please?
I'll second.
Seconder with Councillor Body. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nick. Once again, pretty straightforward item, and good to catch up on a bit of final paperwork, as it were. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you very much. Okay, the final approval of the Whareroa North private plan change 4.6. Hilary, good afternoon, Hilary. Lovely to see you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor and councillors. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is another little tidy up item, to be honest. Just with private plan changes, they've got a little bit of a double up of approval. And so this is just that final step, I guess, in that private plan change, and we just have to affix the council seal to that and pop that into the district plan as well. It's already in the plan and been operative, but it's just this final sign off as a procedural step. So happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Hilary. Straightforward by the sound of it. Do I have a mover, please? Or any questions of Hilary? No. Moved by Councillor Mack, seconded by Councillor Park. Those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you, Hilary. And you're next up to 4.7,
yes,
which is change of commencement resolution for the Taupō District Plan Review.
Yes. So as you'll remember, we've been through that sort of process of formally commencing a full district plan review under the Resource Management Act, and also with the support of our joint management agreement partners. So we went through that in 2020, and obviously since that time there's been quite a lot that has happened in terms of the RMA reform and so on. So it's really formalising that discussion that we've had in our council workshops on the district plan review, that rather than doing a comprehensive review, we're now undertaking that series of plan changes given the wider context that's going on with the Resource Management Act. So this is just formalising that, in that we're revoking that 2020 resolution, and then just noting that we're going to continue on with those plan changes, and that we've got the support in that from our JMA partners.
Cool. Thanks, Hilary. Any questions of Hilary on that one? Pretty straightforward there. 1, 2, and 3. Recommendations as they are, Hilary?
Yes, that's right.
Cool. Councillor Westerman, did you?
No, I was just going to move it.
Yep. Okay. Moved by Councillor Westerman, seconded by, please.
I'll second it.
Yeah. Thank you, John. Councillor Williamson. 1, 2, and 3. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against. Carried. Thanks, Hilary.
No, thank you.
Nice to see you.
You too.
4.8, Health, Safety and Wellbeing Report. Michelle, are you there?
Coming in. Oops.
Coming in. Oh, there you are.
Oops, sorry.
We did have you.
Here I am. Good afternoon, Your Worship and councillors. I'll take that the Health and Safety Report is read and welcome any discussion that comes from it. Just also note that the reporting period was November through to February, and March has not seen any more significant incidents of concern either in the last month. We do have a reasonable amount of our staff working remotely or from home, just as this Omicron wave sort of impacts on our region. And those that are working in the operational roles have been following the good guidance by the government, just working in bubbles of one, working to business continuity plans and hasn't impacted heavily on those groups, our numbers of cases within council, which is pleasing. So any comments on the report?
Thank you, Michelle. Good to see you. Yeah, any questions of Michelle? Councillor Park.
Oh, yes. Hi, Michelle. Just through the chair. Just noting with the solid waste truck incident, and it says the corner of Spa and Taharepa, and that'd be Spa and Tauhara, and that steep sort of bend around by Carter's I'm picking, because I don't think Spa Road intercepts with Taharepa at any point.
Oh, I will correct that in the report. Yeah.
All picked up.
Yeah, good.
Councillor Park. Yeah.
Could I just, through you, Mr.
Councillor
Chairman,
Body?
ask the question in regards to the same thing that Councillor Park has mentioned. It states about the weight of the truck. Was the truck overloaded or not?
No, it wasn't. It was within its parameters of weight, and also they explain there's a beam that distributes the weight as it gets stacked, so it's not like it can be overloaded on one side, on the left-hand side going around the corner. They've got a bar that actually distributes the weight evenly across the truck. So it did appear that poor judgment call on taking that corner, and they're addressing that internally.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Any other questions of Michelle? No, wonderful report, Michelle. Thank you for the detailed report. Truly appreciate it, and fingers crossed that going forward it'll be there'll be no issues. So thank you very much. Can I have a mover, please, that the report be received? Thank you, Councillor Park, and seconded by Councillor Kingy. Thank you very much. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Taupō District Council Performance Report 4.9. Gareth. Andrew.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Look, I'll leave this largely to Andrew. I'll just make a few introductory remarks in terms of my intro in the report. I tried to get through this meeting without mentioning COVID, but can't get past 2 minutes of my speech without mentioning it. But that clearly has been the major focus for us as an organisation over the last month or so. And really about trying to keep our critical operations going to the best of our ability. As Michelle mentioned in the health and safety report just now, we've done a remarkable job, I think, in terms of doing that. Our wastewater teams have continued, by and large, all of our services have continued with only some minor interruptions, which, given the impact of Omicron, that's pretty significant. Added to that, of course, you'll be aware that we've been also, we stood up a rat distribution centre at the Great Lakes Centre, which still continues today. So that's also taken quite a drain on our staff. So I think all I want to do here, Your Worship, before I pass over to Andrew, is just basically thank our whole team. I think everybody's, through this time, our staff have shown that they're willing to put their hands to any job that's available to them, and they've been working across the organisation. We've had lifeguards trained as water operators, and we've had everybody from senior managers all the way through the organisation handing out distribution rat kits at the Great Lakes Centre and the like. So quite literally, it's been all hands to the pump, and that has meant that despite us having significant numbers of staff isolating or with COVID, we've been able to keep all of our services going to a great degree. So I think that's a real good sort of bouquet for our staff. They've done an amazing job. But probably just pass over to Andrew to go through in more detail.
Thanks, Gareth. Thanks, Gareth, and good afternoon, Mayor and councillors. I hope you enjoyed reading the performance report again this month. We definitely enjoy writing it. I find that when we write this report each month, it gives us the opportunity to lift up back into that strategic level and look across our business as a whole and check that we're going in the right direction, which I feel like we certainly are. We listened to feedback last month on this report, and we've added a couple of things. In particular, I point out the Mangakino lakefront upgrade. That was a request from Councillor Truman to add that into the project list. We've done that, and that's in the project list now. There was also a request from Councillor Body last month to add some detailed financial spreadsheets. We've done that, and they're available to you all in the finance folder in the Diligent Resource Centre. Those financial spreadsheets at the moment contain actual numbers for the year to date and also the full year budget. Over the next few months, we'll also add some forecast numbers into those sheets as well. And that information is all available for you to review there at your leisure, if you'd like to. I'm going to hand over to Jeanette now. Jeanette, of course, our finance manager, was appointed late last year, and she prepares most of this report. So Jeanette's going to talk through this month, and in future she'll be taking us through the detailed financials in the Treasury report. From next month forward, we'll also have Pernell talking to part of this report. Pernell, as you know, runs the project management office, and Pernell will talk to the key project part of the report. Pernell couldn't join us this afternoon, so we'll just work through that with you, Jeanette and I. So, Jeanette, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks. Welcome, Jeanette. Nice to have you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, David and the councillors, and to those watching from home. I'm just going to start at the financial summary page. I'd like to take the report as read. However, I'm open to any questions, and I just wanted to point out that our revenue is still reasonably strong in the area of the fees and charges, which is good. Our operating expenditure is also under budget, and we've been trying to do a little bit more analysis on where those costs are under budget. And at this stage, I don't have anything further to report other than what's in the financial report. So that is that area in OPEX. The capital investment, we've changed the graph a little bit so you can see where we think we're going to end up with capital expenditure and what our prospective bow wave is going to be. And this pretty much lines up with what we presented to you in December around a $30 to $40 million bow wave into the next financial year. And then the Treasury report, there's really no change there. We're still meeting all our measures in that area. And there's nothing to report on the CEO delegations reporting. So I might just pause there and ask if there's any questions on the financial part of the report.
Thanks, Jeanette. Hey, I can't quite see the venues. Obviously, their expected income or their income will be quite considerably down. Not that it's a big part of the financial incomings, but have we got any concerns around that? I.e. AC Barbs, rock wall and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, the venues revenue is below plan by 276,000. Just in terms of the costs in the overall community facilities area are still under budget.
Yeah.
A lot of that is around in maintenance and that. So no real concerns there.
Okay. So I suppose the reduction, does it reduce on operating costs? Does the operating costs go down? Not really, I suppose.
I couldn't really comment, but I would imagine there was some cost that would not be incurred, or would be reduced.
Okay, thanks, Jeanette. Any questions? Any other questions, Jeanette?
Well, through you, Mr. Chairman, maybe not Jeanette, but Andrew mentioned, I think I wrote it down, about the resource and diligence. I'm still concerned about the lack of financials. And just an example, if we look at the agenda item at the moment, significant projects, for instance, for transport, it makes comment, but there are no figures. I'm used to seeing the figure updates as we go per month as against the budget. There's also the business of the TEL fund investments, what the returns are, where that money is invested. We don't seem to be getting that unless it's in the part of diligence that Andrew has mentioned.
I'm sure it probably will be, will it, Andrew?
Yeah, certainly. If you look in the diligence, you'll see most of that detail. Councillor Body, so on the TEL investments, we will provide a little bit more on that going forward. That used to be part of the Treasury report, but it was of superfluous information. At the moment, we're providing a Treasury report, which is really talking about our compliance with our Treasury requirements. So we're doing that. As you know, our intention sometime before the end of June is to come to you to talk about a proposal to move the TL investment to a external service provider to manage that fund for us. When they do that, usually one of those, what they would do would be to provide a page to go into our performance report that we can just put in there to talk about the performance of that fund each month or maybe each quarter.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, if we talk about the Treasury report, it would show where the general funds are invested, the banks, that sort of information.
Yeah.
Or the sale of shares, buying of shares, that sort of stuff.
That sort of information. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I can confirm, Councillor Body, there've been no transactions in the TL fund. We haven't bought or sold shares for quite some months. I've been very explicit with that with councillors. That's my approach. It's sitting as it is until it gets to an external provider who we feel is competent.
So that external provider, will they come and? Sorry, someone's got their background.
Yeah.
Can everyone go on mute, please? Yeah, thanks. The Andrew, when that external provider, when they pitch for the job, will that be in front of council or just you, a small committee, or how will you determine that?
I'm intending that they'll pitch that to me and probably a couple of members of the exec team, and that we'll summarise that up and come up to council. At the moment, the Treasury management policy already I guess anticipates a situation where we have that externally managed. I think it's just happened to be internally managed in the past because of the skill set of the predecessor. But
yeah, cool. From my observation over the years, it's quite a topical matter, and so just as much information as we can receive on that would be awesome. Yeah, cool. Thank you very much, Andrew, and thank you, Jeanette. Any other questions of Jeanette regarding the finances? No, great to see operating costs in line with budget or down a bit. In these times, it's well done. Truly appreciated. Right, what else?
Sorry.
Sorry, Jeanette, you haven't
David,
finished.
no, there was also the project part of the report that Panel would normally go through, but in her absence, I've lost my screen. In her absence, I just wanted to bring your attention to it and ask if there was any questions on that.
Sure.
It's the significant projects section of the report.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so a long list of them there. Any questions, councillors, on any of those?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I did ask about no figures, and I accept what Andrew said. I may find them in that diligent part, so we'll leave it at the moment.
Yep. Okay.
You won't find the figures on. Sorry, Councillor Body. You won't find the figures on the projects in the diligent report. I was referring to the other question. The way that we're reporting financials in here is simply a traffic light. So you'll see there's a third column crosses on budget. So if it's on budget, we report it as green. If it's not on budget, we report it as red or orange. And then you should read in the comment something in relation to what we're doing to get it back onto budget if it's off.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. As always, if you want any specific figures, they'd always be available, no doubt, Andrew.
Always, that's right. Yeah.
Well, there is a saying, Mr. Chairman, that you don't know the question until you've seen the question, and that's what I find difficult when there's no paper in front of us.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Jeanette, Andrew, any other questions, councillors?
Yeah, we should just, with regard to Project Quantum, I guess we have been updated regularly with the delays. How's the progressing the replanning of it?
Good question.
I can help. Can you hear me? Yeah, yep. We've been plagued. Again, the quality of the data coming out of Magic has been the biggest pain point for us. I think we're getting to the top of the hill now. I always use the analogy of my old Vauxhall Chevette that my mates used to push, and then it would kickstart down the hill. That's sort of how it feels with Quantum. I think we've broken the back of that now, and so we've done a replanning exercise. It is going to take us into a new financial year, but we'll just be planning that through the annual plan. But if there's anyone wants a real in-depth update, happy to give that at a later date.
So obviously payroll's on there, John. Rate demands, are they on there yet?
No, not yet. That's one of the last modules to put on there, Your Worship.
Okay. And when are we looking at that, Andrew?
Expectation at the moment is, as John said, into the new financial year. So we wouldn't like to do that too close to Christmas. We'd hope to get it in around September, October. But it's just subject to that detailed replanning that John's team's doing on that at the moment.
Okay. And money-wise?
Longer period of time will mean longer money, but again, we can't quantify that at the moment, just because we're going through that replanning exercise.
Okay, cool. I doubt we'll get an update at some stage.
All right. I'll just add to that, it is all pretty well all, so external costs for that project with external consultants and external technology suppliers are fixed. It's only the internal labour, and the extra time means more internal labour capitalised onto the balance sheet. But these are all people who would otherwise just be going back to support the work that's going on in our other teams. So it's just a sort of to and fro of labour cost.
Oh, it's good to hear. Good to hear. Thank you, Andrew. All right. Nothing else from you, Gareth. Thank you, Jeanette and Andrew. No one else from management team? No, all good. Very good. Oh, thank you very much for the detailed report, guys. It's great format. Oh, quite easy to read, Andrew. Thank you. Could I have a mover, please, that the report be received? Thank you, Councillor Rankin. Seconded by Councillor Williamson. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, carried. Very good. Triennial elections. Can't be true. 4.10. Who have we got? Shani, is it?
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, councillors, this item relates to the elections, as you say, Your Worship. You have the ability to determine the order, how the order of candidates appear on voting papers, and your options are alphabetical, pseudo-random, or random. And we recommend that you go for random. It is what it is. The computer generates a random order for each voting paper, and recommend also that you do that for the elections and any by-elections which may follow next triennium.
Oh, thank you, Shani. I totally endorse your suggestion of a surname like mine. All right, any commentary or any questions of Shani? Okay, well, pretty straightforward. John's not there. I thought he might have some commentary on this, but no. Okay, so we move to part of the resolution that says random. People happy with that?
It's a recommendation.
Thank you very much. Moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against. Carried. Thank you very much, Shani. Much appreciated. Right, you are still there, I think. Council engagements, April.
Thank you,
Any
Your Worship.
changes?
Two changes to note. The Taupō Airport Authority Committee meeting, which was to have been held Monday this week, has been moved to Monday next week, 4th of April at 10:30. And then the Taupō East Rural Representative Group meeting we head down for the 21st will now be a week later on the 28th of April. Everything else is as it is on the list, with all meetings online through April as well.
Cool. Thanks, Shani. Any queries about those changes? No. Have a mover, please, that those engagements be confirmed. Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Thank you, Councillor Boddy. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against. Carried. Members' reports. 4.12. I'll just go around the room. Deputy. Anything from?
None from me, Your Worship.
All good. Okay. Councillor Williamson.
All good. Thank you, Your Worship. No, thank you.
Councillor Park.
All good here, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Taylor.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Councillor Kingy.
Nothing to report, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you. King. Councillor King. Councillor Mack.
It's not really a report, but can I just thank the CEO and senior leaders with reference to removing the restrictions to our council facilities. I know it's very topical and I know everybody has a view on it. I do think that we were kept in the loop all the way through this. So whatever our views were on it, we knew that we were doing the right thing. And I think as a council, we've come out of it, I think as the only council to remove them, or one of the first. And I'd just like to thank them for that, because they did keep us in the loop and they've done what they said, which was review it and change if things happened. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Gareth, you obviously heard that. I'm sure you'll pass that on to your team and appreciation. Thank you, Councillor Mack. I appreciate the appreciation. Councillor Leonard.
I just wanted to pass on congratulations to Todd and Renee Halliday, Chair Farmer of the Year for the Central Plateau. They've got an open day out on their farm tomorrow, and also just as the chair of the joint committee around the Lake Taupō protection, an ex-member of our committee, Maria Nepia, has been appointed to the executive director of the Three Waters Iwi Māori Department of Internal Affairs. So just passing on those congratulations as well.
Oh, wow. So she's, what is she? Sorry, chair of?
She's been made the executive director at Three Waters Iwi Māori at Te Tare Tai Whenua, the Department of Internal Affairs.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Turangi via Taupō girl, which is great. All right. Thank you for that, Councillor Leonard. And congratulations to those share milkers too. Councillor Boddy.
Nothing to report. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. Councillor Westerman.
Yes, last night I went to the Taupo Sculpture Trust presentation of the sculpture which will be put on the corner of Taurapa Road and Lake Terrace that council have supported, and they were out looking for a little bit new, some more contributions to that, and I saw Boom Boom, I think it's called, which will be the big rock with the dinosaur on top, which will be located down on that corner, which I'm sure will cause a lot of comments.
Boom Boom. Boom Boom with a dinosaur. Okay.
On a rock.
On a rock. Doesn't that need a resource consent?
It's just tracking. It's just been publicly notified yesterday, or not notified, but it's in the news, which was very exciting. And it's lovely to see the art and sculpture work continue on in Taupo and the district. Absolutely. Got a scald. Oh, thank you for attending that, Councillor Westman. Right, going along. No one else? No one else? I think we're all, have I covered everyone? Very good. Okay, so we just need a mover for those members' reports to be accepted, please. Thank you, Councillor Rankin, seconded by Councillor Westerman. All those in favour, please say aye. It's against, carry. Thank you. Okay, now we move into confidence. If I could have a mover into confidence for the reasons outlined there. Thank you, Councillor Park, and seconded by Councillor Guy. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.